11%, which is a huge hike for a rate increase. And they're saying that it's not because of the MVP pipelines.
Right. They're saying it's a base rate.
Right.
And that if it was related to the higher cost of fuel as a result of the higher cost of construction, it would be reflected in a fuel rate.
Right. That's what they're claiming.
Right. That's what they say.
Right. And they've made claims before that have been questionable, like when the president, John D'Orazio, was speaking to the Board of Supervisors in Montgomery County. He claimed that Roanoke Gas Resources didn't have an interest in MVP. And then the next week when they were talking before they made the decision, and then he was asked again by the Board of Supervisors, because it's a matter of public record that they're subsidiary.
1%.
Yes. And then he said, oh yeah, we are. So they have made claims before that have not been accurate. And I'm an energy investor. I'd like to say, like, I'm not here as an activist. We're not protesting. I'm here as a concerned customer and somebody who is a shareholder in energy companies that have been watching the economic part of this unfold and has been raising alarm for 4 years now that this did not look like a good path to go down. And if Roanoke Gas wasn't making risky investments with the revenue that they're bringing in from their customers, they probably wouldn't have to make a base rate hike. They would have capital that they could use for that, rather than speculating in a transportation pipeline that has no economic necessity.
Why don't you mention how much more they recently had to pony up?
Right. Well, with their 1% interest, if you look at the balance sheet of the assets of Roanoke Gas, 1%. If you're talking about 1% and a $3 billion investment going to $4.6 billion, you're talking about the difference between $30 million and $46 million, which for their balance sheet is a lot. And
do you have any definitive evidence or data to indicate that the rate increase that is subject to State Corporation Commission approval, is there anything definitive that links that to the cost of building the pipeline?
That's what we're asking, because one of the concerns I have is like I said, the day after we did that press conference last week, they announced this rate saying it's not tied. So we're like bracing, like, okay, so what's coming next?
Right.
If that's not tied to it, and we know that they're running into problems, and as your article pointed out today, they just applied, MVP just applied to extend the pipeline when they haven't even done a good job with where they are right now. How much more is that going to cost? Plus just their bad business decisions of hiring off-duty police officers. I looked at the hourly rate that they got paid, and I'm like, well, now we're paying for that. And that was customers for a public utility. That was customers for a public utility just wanting to park in the parking lot and say, we have concerns. And the letter was very respectful, and we do have concerns. I called and left a message for President D'Orazio last week saying I would like to have an appointment with him to find out information.
Before the event?
Yes, and he never returned my call. I was going to email, because of the urgency, I was going to email the letter to him, because I sent it certified mail because I want proof that he received it. So I had the cost personally where I could have just parked and walked it in and know that they received it, where I sent it certified mail so I have proof that I know that they received it. Because I was going to send the email and then do the other thing with the receipt. But I hope that there's better communication with Roanoke Gas and their customers. We have legitimate concerns, legitimate questions about what's going on based on the history of other utilities that have gotten in trouble, of which I'm an investor in SCANA. I was looking at the stock market yesterday, and SCANA's stock actually went up. The stock market went up. It had a good recovery last couple of days. However, EQM, which is the big stakeholder in MVP, their stock is continuing to go down. Substantially, it's gone down. And even when the rest of the market's springing back, it still continued to go down yesterday. So that's why we're just like, okay, you're running into problems, you don't have the permits, and Cynthia's going to talk about some new things that have come up that we're witnessing and seeing, and clarifying what happened last week. And then David's going to talk about our disappointment with the law enforcement. But that all we're saying for Roanoke Gas is we are in the middle of an economic disruption. They are going to need to have a tight ship financially in order to survive it. They're going to need to diversify. And if they don't do it quickly, they're going to really hurt low-income people. Because when they're not delivering cheap energy, because they've already announced 11% base rate hike, which is substantial. They're not delivering clean energy that's better than carbon, because now we have scientific evidence that methane is a more potent greenhouse gas accelerant than carbon is. So they don't have that to tout as a reason to go natural gas. And with them raising the base rates, they're going to accelerate the economic disruption of getting people to go to renewables. So those are the people who can afford to go to renewables, which that's where it's going to lead the burden on low-income families to be able to pay for the gas that gets delivered to them, or they're going to go electric. So we're trying to say, in a friendly way, we're really deeply concerned about this path. And I personally am, because my house, I looked into going solar. I live on the north slope with huge oak trees over my house.
Yes, we're in the same boat.
So we're in the middle. We replaced our boiler about 5 years ago with a high efficiency boiler and hot water system that's on natural gas. But our air conditioning system just went out, and we're exploring going high efficiency heating, cooling system with that, to be in position if Roanoke Gas tanks or jacks the price up so much, that will be more inexpensive for us to have that option of just going straight electricity and going completely off Roanoke Gas. We're able to do that, but we know of other people who are renting and homeowners that they're not in that position to make those type of decisions. So that was my part. Do you want me to film you, Cynthia?